Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Collector's Edition Alan Scott. And not only that, this is the Platinum Chase variant. I want to give a huge shout out to my boy John for reaching out to me via Instagram. He happened to get this variant, and he'd seen in my video that I was looking for one. He contacted me, we worked something out, and there is a huge story that I'll get to right after we look at the packaging here. It actually talks about the good side of the collecting community and the bad side. I got scammed on my first person that reached out to me about Alan Scott, and it's a pretty sour experience. We'll talk about that in a moment. In the meantime, let's check out the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moon parts, McFarlane toys, ages 12 plus. This is part of the McFarlane Collector's Edition. These are basically premium figures. They cost $30 instead of the usual $20, and you get a couple extra things like a display stand for the collector's card and that sort of stuff, which really don't matter to me very much. I personally think it's a cash grab that costs too much. Still, it's a really nice Alan Scott figure. The Platinum Chase variant, a little bit different, and we will get to that in depth in this video. DC Multiverse, Green Lantern, Alan Scott, Platinum Chase variant, awesome. McFarlane Collector's Edition, Green Lantern, Alan Scott from Day of Vengeance. This is the second figure in the Collector's Edition line. At the back, here he is, Alex Ross style art. At the bottom, we have barcode in case that helps anybody. So with no further ado, I'm going to tell the story and then open him up. So as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, I'm a completist when it comes to the McFarlane DC Multiverse line. I get every single figure, every single variation, and do a review on each and every one. The Platinum Chase variants can be a little bit difficult to get. In addition to that, with the Batman-related characters, I get two, one to keep in the box and one to open. So when I found out they're doing a Platinum Chase variant for this entire wave, I knew I was going to get one Superman, one Alan Scott, and then two Abyss figures. Still haven't tracked down the Abyss. If anybody out there has a lead on Platinum Abyss, please drop me a line in the comments below. Desperately looking for that guy. So I had a guy reach out to me on Instagram and say, hey, I saw your video. I saw you're looking for the Platinum Chase variants. I got Alan Scott from Big Bad Toy Store. I prefer the regular one. And I was like, oh, were you willing to sell it to me? He's like, I suggest a trade. The regular one for the Platinum Chase variant. I'm like, okay, well, I don't actually have the regular one yet, but I'm getting a couple days. So I'm getting the regular one. And I was like, okay, let's go ahead and trade. Then I was like, you know what? I'd rather not get rid of mine because I want to keep them for my comparisons. So let me order another one from Big Bad Toy Store, have it shipped to me, and as long as it's not a platinum, I'll trade you. Dude's like, cool, no problem. And we're chatting. Honestly, we're talking about every day for 2 weeks. He's showing me pictures of his stuff. I'm showing a picture of mine, all this fun stuff. You know, meeting another dude in the collector community, always fun. So finally, I got the replacement figure. It's not the Platinum Chase variant from Big Bad Toy Store. So I tell him, hey, I can mail off the figure. He's like, yeah, I can mail it off Monday. So we make a deal. I go to the post office, mail it off, get the tracking number, give it to him, and then bam, like clockwork, motherfucker ghosts me. Doesn't reply to a single message at that point, doesn't even click them, doesn't read them. So, seems like I got scammed. But, you know, maybe not. There's a lot of reasons that somebody maybe can't go to the phone and look at Instagram, etc., etc. Maybe you're sick, maybe you're in jail, you know, there's a ton of things. Maybe you're locked out of your account. I mean, there's a million trillion reasons. Maybe you're too busy. But, you know, he was replying every single day for a couple weeks. So, you know, it does make me feel very good. Every day I'd message him, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? That's it. Just, you know, I kept it cool. I'm not trying to be on tech mode or anything. And recently, I noticed that he blocked me. So no matter what bullshit excuses he comes up with, if he wants to give me any, he clearly scammed me. You don't just block somebody if you're not going to do something like this. I mean, that's clearly what happened. How do I know he blocked me? Well, I can't see his profile anymore, and other people on Instagram tell me they can still see it. So I asked a couple people, maybe message him, see if he can reply to me, and then he ignored them, changed his profile. So it's pretty obvious what happened. And the weird thing is, I'm pretty sure this guy didn't go into this with the intent to scam me. I think he actually was legitimately willing to trade. At one point, he even offered to mail me the figure. That way I could have both of them for my video, and then I could mail him the regular one afterwards. And I should have jumped at that. But I thought, I don't know, some reason that was being selfish or something. And I can only sort of guess that when I gave him the tracking number, he hadn't shipped his yet, and he just sort of looked around and thought, I guess I can just not send him mine and get a free figure and just never reply to him moving forward, and he can't do shit about it. And this is true. I mean, I know when doing a deal with somebody on Instagram or Facebook, there's a risk of getting scammed. But I'll tell you, in 15 years of collecting, and I've done a lot of deals via Instagram, Facebook, the Foosh forums, email, I have never fully been scammed by a fellow collector. Now that burns. So I don't want anybody to message him or harass him, but I do want to warn anybody, if you deal with this guy named Christopher Ham with 2 M's, he's in the Facebook McFarlane group, and he's on Instagram as ham2ms.bone.73. Don't trade with him. Don't send him any money, because he did scam me. And no matter what excuse he comes up with, it's bullshit, because you don't just offer someone a trade and then block them as soon as he gives you a tracking number if you're not trying to scam them. Like I said, 15 years of collecting, trading. I have met a ton of cool people in the community. I've felt a lot of love, a lot of good trades, a lot of good purchases, a lot of people looking out for me. The only time in the past I was ever burned by a fellow collector was on the Foosh forums. I saw this guy had a couple really cool customs. I asked if he possibly was interested in selling them, and he said yes. So I sent him some money, more money than I wanted to send him, and he never sent me the figure. A few days later, I messaged him. A few days after that, I messaged him. A week later, I messaged him. Nothing. It's pretty obvious what happened. A couple of years later, I sent him another email just out of the blue, and he actually replied, said, you know what, I'm a piece of shit. I did you wrong. I'll send them. And I sent me the figures, and I have them. I still love them to this day. So, sure, I was burned that time, but he ended up fixing it. So, I don't know. Chris, if you're watching it, you could, I don't know, give me a refund for $55, give me an apology. People make bad decisions. I sure do, all the damn time. So it happens. So here's the brighter part of the story. While I was dealing with this, and I was kind of feeling like I was scammed, but I wasn't sure. I was still kind of trying to give this Chris guy the benefit of the doubt, thinking, maybe he hasn't been able to get to Instagram, maybe, whatever. This other guy named John messaged me and said, hey, I saw your video. I have a Platinum Chase variant of Alan Scott. I don't really want it. I'm going to return it. If you want it, you can purchase it. And I'm like, at this point, I really didn't even want to mess with it. I didn't want to think about this Alan Scott Platinum. I was kind of pissed off, kind of frustrated, kind of burned. And, I kind of talked to him. I told him my story, and he's like, you know what? I'll do you a solid. I'll ship you the figure for simply $20. And I'm like, man, the figure itself costs $30. It's going to cost you to ship it. That's very kind of you. I mean, he heard my pity story and felt sorry for him, I guess. But still, that's love right there. That's the kind of stuff I usually see in the collecting community, not people trying to scam someone out of a $30 single action figure. I mean, come on, it's pathetic. I'd never stoop so low as to say Chris a fucking bitch and has got no balls, but I would never stoop that low. Same time, we got a shitty end of the collecting and then a good end of the collecting. This John dude, much appreciated. He took a financial loss on this, and I even offered to pay more money, and he's like, you know what, I'm just happy to have this into the hands of a collector who's going to appreciate it. And that is me. I appreciate these weird, rare variants. I really do. Huge shout out to my boy John. Thanks a lot. In addition to giving me this great deal on the Platinum Chase variant of Alan Scott, this guy John even gave me some extras. Here's a copy of Justice Society of America #1, the Alan Scott variant cover. Very cool to have with the Alan Scott figure. And then we have a pack of Rocketeer trading cards. I don't really have any use for those, but it's still really cool. What a nice guy. That's love. Thank you again. Thank you for buying my heart, John. Much appreciated. You turned the sour experience into something better. But if you think about it, I'm $75 into this figure now, and that sucks. And just one last time, Chris, you can unblock me on Instagram. You can message me. I'm not going to forgive or forget, but you can make this right by sending me the money I invested into that figure that I did mail you. I'm a man of my word. I did my part. I'll stop whining like a little bitch now and get on with the video. But here's my experience. Bad side of the collecting community. Good side of the collecting community. Still love this community. I'll still keep doing transactions with people. Still, it's really cool meeting people out there, seeing other people's setups and figure collections. Love it. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with a display stand, a collector's card, a display stand for the collector's card, a lantern, battery, and then sort of an energy effect for his hand. But before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Alan Scott as Green Lantern. He's the original Green Lantern from the 40s, way before Hal Jordan. This is the Platinum Chase variant, and he's very similar to the regular figure, but he has sort of green paint or energy on his right side. Curious to see if that does glow in the dark or black light. We'll check that out a little later in the video, and we'll compare him with the regular version in depth. Now this is part of McFarlane's Collector's Edition line. They cost $30, and honestly, the value's not there. Typical McFarlane figure is $20. Some of the other premium figures that come with the extra sort of display stand for the collector's card, like the Joker Eye stuff, etc., they're $25. There's really nothing in here to justify the extra $10 price point. Personally, I don't even care about a display stand for my collector's card. I will never use that thing. At the core, it should just still be a $20 figure. But Alan Scott is unique. It's a unique sculpt, even though this is the third variation. But, okay, I could see it being $25, but $30, just too much. If it's going to be $30, he should come with more accessories, more hands, all kind of different stuff. Just my 2 cents. The value isn't here. I know McFarlane has acknowledged that, and they say it's going to be better moving forward. Who knows if that's going to be Wave 3, Wave 4, etc. I know Wave 2 has already been shown and looks to be similarly disappointing as far as the value goes. Excellent figures, just the value isn't there. So let's take a look at them. Start with his face. Alan Scott face looks good. It's got that purple domino mask, the unique style. He's got the blonde, sort of wavy hair. But he has this green energy on the side of his face. And that, I don't know, I guess it's sort of green light shining on him. Him using his lantern energy. It looks kind of cool. He's got the power ring on his right hand, and typically Alan Scott has it on his left hand. Although I noticed the cover of the comic that I had has it on his right hand. He's got green energy down his arm, on top of his hand. It looks pretty cool on the hand, the effect there. And maybe a little bit of a green tint on the side of the boot. His pants are kind of already green, so you can't see it there. I mean, it's very gimmicky, and I'd say it's not one of the most desirable Platinum Chase out there. He's got more green on the inside of that hand. Still, it's cool for what it is, but unnecessary to say the least. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Weird effect there, but it looks kind of cool. Now let's check out his accessories. Let's start off with the boring stuff. He's got a display stand. It's a typical McFarlane stand. Only difference is the DC is painted silver. Very thin, very basic. Now for his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of the Alan Scott Green Lantern. I believe it's Alex Ross Justice Art. McFarlane Collector's Edition. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Here's the Platinum version trading card on the left, next to the standard version on the right. They are 100% the same, and I find that very disappointing. I wish there was something at least a little bit different between the two of them. And everything, the coloring on the lettering is different. That's just the way the light's hitting them on the left. Here's his trading card into the stand for the trading card. Now this doesn't do anything for me, but it could be cool if you want to display that next to your figure. And now for his lantern power battery. Now it always bothered me that they made these things in sort of like a glowing, transparent material, as the lantern battery is not a construct, it's just a physical object to recharge the ring. But I guess one could argue it's maybe, I don't know, glowing energy out of it. Still, you got a place you can hold it. Semi-transparent. Different sculpt than the previous batteries they've released. Here's Alan Scott recharging his power ring in the battery. Now we have this sort of energy effect. I guess it's lantern energy, sort of turned into a construct, go on top of his fist. Semi-transparent material. It's going to go right on top of his hand. Here's Alan Scott holding up his fist. Maybe he's trying to intimidate somebody. It's glowing that energy, and it kind of looks like it's sort of shining onto his face. This looks pretty cool. Gets some cool lighting. Could be a nice little image there. You can also have him about to super punch somebody with lantern energy. Now I wanted to check out the differences between the standard version of Alan Scott Green Lantern and the Platinum Chase variant. Besides the obvious paint differences, the sort of green energy on one side, it's 100% the same figure, same sculpt, same articulation. Now personally, I do prefer the regular version, but this is kind of a cool, interesting variant. You can see the side of the face here, he's got green sort of energy glowing on him. Green down his arm, down his side. The pants look a little bit different, his are darker. And then of course we have the green on the inside of that arm. Beyond that, Same figure. It's really just supposed to be this guy here with some lantern energy shining on him. And now I'm curious, does this guy possibly glow in the dark? Does he react to black light? Those are things that will be perfect from this guy. So let's test it out. So here's a figure in a fully lit room. Normal light. Add black light to him. And boy, yes, he does react. It almost looks like glow in the dark. Certain parts, you can definitely see the black light react paint on that. Looks really cool like this. And here's how he reacts to black light in a semi-lit room. And finally, in a completely dark room. Looks really cool. That effect just really pops. It looks fantastic. And then just so you know, the standard Alan Scott doesn't react to black light in any way, shape, or form. This is something unique for the Platinum Chase variant. And his accessories sure react to black light as well. Here's a figure holding his energy, reacting to black light. Looks kind of cool. Not exactly the effect I was expecting. Now that I've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, staying at about 7.2 inches tall, which can translate to just over 18 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head here. Of course, you can rotate from side to side. You can look up and down about that much. You can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes about 90 degrees. Up, down, around. He's got this butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest, increasing the range of motion and covering the large gap that would be there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows. His wrists can rotate, and it's going to be hinged. His torso, he's got a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. Another one is waist, rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, giving him a very wide range of motion in his torso area. They're both very well done. Legs, complete as a splits, not a ball joint, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is non-existent. They go forward, about that far, back, not much. Double jointed knees, below that. And then his ankle, forward and back, rotate, tilt, rock, and of course, to articulation. Here's a look at all three different variations of Alan Scott. Nice Alan Scott comic in the background. Nice little display. Here's Alan Scott, the Green Lantern, flying through the skies, holding his lantern battery. Now let's check him out. Next to some of their action figures, starting off with some other Alan Scott and McFarlane Green Lantern figures. Here's a Platinum Chase variant of Alan Scott on the left, next to the standard version on the right. And here he is, next to the Dark Knight's Metal Alan Scott Dread Lantern. Here are all three different variations of McFarlane's DC Multiverse Alan Scott figures. Now let's check him out, next to some other McFarlane Lantern figures. Here he is, next to Hal Jordan. Then, next to John Stewart. Here's Alan Scott, next to Kyle Rayner. Then, next to the Dawnbreaker. Here are all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Green Lantern figures they've made so far. We have a total of 13 if you count all the different variants. Now, the next one to come out is going to be the Walmart exclusive Vampire Hal Jordan. And then, rumor is, in Wave 3 of the Collector's Edition, we're going to have Batman as Green Lantern. Here's Alan Scott, next to the only blue lantern they made. This is Kyle Rayner. Then, next to the only yellow lantern they made, this is Batman as a Sinestro Corps member. I believe the next one they're going to be making is in the Collector's Edition Wave 2, which is going to be Sinestro himself. And now, here are McFarlane's Red Lanterns, Atrocitus and Batrocitus. Here are all the McFarlane Black Lanterns they've made, a couple versions of Batman, Deathstorm, and Superman. Here are all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Lantern figures they've made so far. We have Black Lanterns, Red Lanterns, Yellow Lanterns, Blue Lanterns, and Green Lanterns. There are plenty of other colors they could make, but I hope they don't get super out of control in this. Now let's check them out, next to the rest of the McFarlane Collector's Edition figures. Each one of these three figures comes with a Platinum Chase variant. We have the first appearance Superman, and as you can see, I have his Platinum Chase variant. It's arguably the most valuable and most sought after of this wave. Then we have Alan Scott. I also have his Platinum Chase variant. Thank you, John. And then we have the Abyss. I'm still desperately looking for his Platinum Chase variant. In fact, I'm looking for two of them. If anybody has a lead on that, drop me a line in the comments below. Now, the second wave of McFarlane Collector's Edition figures, that consists of Sinestro, Firestorm, and Hawkman. And I don't remember the rumors for the third one. I just remember seeing Batman as Green Lantern, so it sounds pretty cool. Hopefully, They improved the value aspect. Now let's check them out. Next is some other Platinum Chase variant McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here are the first two. This is the bronze version of the Arkham Asylum Batman and Arkham Asylum Joker. The next Platinum Chase variants they made were the all gold versions of the Arkham Knight Batman and the Arkham Origins Deathstroke. And after that, they made the Platinum Chase variant of Gorilla Grodd and Dr. Fate from Injustice 2. Gorilla Grodd had silver armor, and Dr. Fate had a lighter blue color, closer to the comic counterpart. And I did get 3 of those Gorilla Grodd figures, 3 of the Platinum Chase variants. I used these guys as Gorilla Soldiers in Gorilla Grodd's army, and the gold one as Gorilla Grodd himself. And after that, they made a Platinum Chase variant of Batfleck from Zack Snyder's Justice League. This one had the goggles up, and this is the only Platinum Chase variant to have any sculpting differences at all. Then, McFarlane decided to change the way they were doing the Platinum Chase variants. They went with unpainted, artist-proof Platinum Chase variants. Some people liked them. I'd say most people didn't. Fans complained, and I totally understand it. You order a green, vibrant, beautiful-looking Swamp Thing off Amazon, you get this gray version, you're like, what the hell is this? I don't want this. I didn't sign up for this. I get it. The current Platinum Chase variants are just different paint jobs, and so they're a little bit easier to swallow if you didn't want them. I worked hard to track all these down, but I totally understand a lot of people didn't want them. And the truth is, they don't really bring me a lot of joy. They're just sort of there. I like what they're doing now with the Platinum Chase variants, a whole lot more of these gray versions. After the unpainted artist proof thing, McFarlane decided to go back to regular Platinum Chase variants, different paint jobs, and ones that actually make sense and look really cool. Here's the Noose assortment. After the gray versions, we have the darker version of the Jay Garrick Flash, the Superpowers version of Mr. Freeze, and then the gray version of the Nightfall Catwoman. And I personally love these new Platinum Chase variants. They're awesome, they're desirable. You won't get mad if you get that on accident, at least most people won't. And then after that, they released a Platinum Chase variant of Batgirl from the Page Puncher fighting the Frozen Wave. This is the first and only Platinum Chase variant in the Page Puncher subline. And then, the most recent Platinum Chase variants that I have are from this Collector's Edition wave, Alan Scott and Superman, still trying to track down Abyss. And then the next Platinum Chase variant after that is going to be the DC Classics Riddler, also on the hunt for 2 of those. Here are all the different McFarlane Platinum Chase variants they've made so far. The only ones not pictured that are out are Abyss and the Riddler, and the next one's coming out is going to be a Platinum Chase variant of the Target exclusive Supergirl, and then a Platinum Chase variant of the Injustice Superman. Now let's check them out. Next is one of their recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the Amazon exclusive glow-in-the-dark John Stewart Green Lantern. Still waiting on them to ship my Swamp Thing. And here he is, next to the 2 most recent McFarlane Mega figures, the Justice Buster and Anti-Monitor. Then, next to the Hush Superman, Tim Drake Robin, and the DC Classics Riddler, on the hunt for a Platinum Riddler. Now let's check them out, with some McFarlane Toy Store exclusive gold label figures. We have the Patina variant of Superman in his Unchained Armor and Superboy Prime, then Catman and Dick Grayson Robin. Here's Alan Scott, next to the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive, black and white accent, Martian Manhunter, Superman, and The Flash. And here he is, next to the Blue Beetle movie wave. We have the regular Blue Beetle, Carapace, and Battle Mode Blue Beetle. Then, with the Batman and Spawn 2-pack. And now, next to the Dark Knight Trilogy Gold Label San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures, we have Bane with his coat, Joker as a bank robber thug, and then Joker seen through the sonar vision. Here's Alan Scott, next to some more San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures. We have the 85th anniversary Superman, the 30th anniversary Nightfall Batman, the Page Puncher sketch Mr. Freeze, and the Dark Knight's Metal Alan Scott Dread Lantern. Next, let's check them out with some Target exclusive figures. Here's Alan Scott, next to the Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack. And here he is, next to some Target exclusive Jokerized stuff. Then, with some more Target exclusive figures, we have the Sinestro Corps Batman, the Ted Cord Blue Beetle, then Impulse and Deadman. And now, with the Target exclusive Flashpoint wave, Aquaman, Project Superman, and The Flash. Here's Alan Scott, next to the Injustice 2 3-pack, Batman, Supergirl, and Dr. Fate. Now Batman here has some yellow on his left side, Alan Scott has some green on his right side, but Batman looks like complete shit, and Alan Scott looks halfway decent. And here he is, next to some recent Walmart exclusive gold label figures. We have the Vampire, Joker, Batman and Superman, then Captain Atom, Beast Boy, and Eradicator. Then, next to the goofy head sculpt Reverse Superman vs. Ultraman 2-pack. And now, with the most recent Batman wave, we have the Nightfall Batman, Batman Incorporated Batwing, and the Batman Reborn Two Faces Batman. And finally, Next to the 5th wave of Page Punchers, this is a Batman-themed wave, fighting the Frozen. We have Batman, Robin, both versions of Batgirl, and Mr. Freeze. Now let's check him out. Next is some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures. Here he is, next to a can of generic citrus drop soda, green, just like him. And here he is, next to some DST or Devon Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collector figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, next to some Mayfix figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, with some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, it's a cool Alan Scott figure, but I much prefer the regular version. The blacklight feature is actually really cool. He has green down one side of him, and it's like they achieved and where they failed with the Injustice 2 3-pack Batman. He has yellow over him, and he looks horrible. This Alan Scott looks kind of cool. Huge thanks to my boy John for reaching out to me, sending his figure, and making me feel better about the situation where I got burned by that other guy. Avoid Christopher Ham at all costs. Scammer, schemer, selfish. Just disappointing that it happened by a fellow collector of all people. His accessories are cool. The lantern energy around his hand, the actual lantern itself, the stands, collector's card doesn't really do much for me. His articulation is everything you'd expect from a modern McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. Sculpt and paint job are excellent. If I were to rate this guy, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I just much prefer the regular version of this one, but the gimmick is kind of cool. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.